Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And good evening. How are you, everybody? I bet everybody's smiling tonight because the weather has just been so great. It has finally arrived. I think spring is really happening. Isn't that something that we're all looking forward to? At least most of us. There may be some hardcore snow skiers or snowboarders out there, but even they like a change of the season if they're from New England. Hey, I got to tell you, tonight we have a guest who's going to be arriving a little late. We just got a phone call from Dr. Shiva. And in case you haven't heard the promo, Dr. Shiva actually is the inventor of email. And I'm going to get the story out of him, how he invented email at the age of 14. If you search it online, there are a few other people or companies that are trying to lay claim to that. And Al Gore is not one of them. But we're going to find out what happened with Dr. Shiva and why he believes he invented email. Very interesting. So be listening for that. Dr. Shiva will be here in the 7 o'clock hour. It's just about 6:10 right now on your Monday night, beautiful Monday night. And my regular sidekick, Bill Ellis, is also tied up in traffic. So traffic must be a bear today because everybody's out and everybody's doing stuff and feeling good. So there's probably more cars on the road than normal, and there's always a lot. So Bill's running a little bit late, too, but he should be coming through the door at some point, and I'm sure he'll have some interesting stuff to say. He always does. But in the meantime, I want to also let everybody know that we got a couple of contests going. One is, of course, the birthday anniversary contest. We will be looking for people to call in if you have a person that you know. It doesn't have to be a relative or anybody real close, just somebody that you can give us their name, and we'll enter it into the drawing hat. And if they are calling for birthday or anniversary, not this month, but next month. So we're always working a month ahead for names, and then on the last Monday of the month, which will be next Monday, because today's the 23rd. Next Monday will be the 30th, just making it. We will be drawing from the hat of names, and we will hopefully maybe be drawing your entry into the birthday anniversary contest here at WHAV. And if your name or the name that's drawn out will receive a cake from LBD's Bakery right in Bradford Square. Great stuff there. Even if you have to pay for it, it's worth it because it's so delicious. So, but that's where the giveaway cake is from, LBD's, right in Bradford Square, Italian bakery. Good stuff, great stuff, always. And we're giving away a cake from there right here on WHAV. But the other thing that we're giving away tonight is, and for the birthdays in the hey, Bill's here. You got here early, Bill. You said you were going to be here 20 past about. So
I told him I know you.
Were you break? Oh, yeah. Were you breaking the speed? You can't break speed records when the traffic's all jammed up.
I can't when I'm driving in the breakdown lane.
Ah, okay. Okay. Good thing you didn't get caught doing that. All right. Anyway, Bill Ellis is here now, and he's just getting situated. Let me also mention that we have another giveaway tonight to win a $25 gift certificate to Sanborn Tire and Auto at 355 River Street in Haverhill. Good for any service from tires to full auto repair. They've been around for decades. They know their game real well. Always trust in Sanborn Tire for all your auto needs. So I'll depend on Bill. I usually depend on Bill for a trivia question. Do you have one that you'd like to ask? Were you thinking about that while you were driving? What the trivia question might be to give away the $25 gift certificate to Sanborn Tire?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Here, I'll ask you. This is right off the cuff.
All right.
Barbara Bush, who got laid to rest Saturday, God rest her soul.
Absolutely, yeah.
The Bush family. There's only one other woman in American history that has the same distinction that she has.
Right.
Her husband was president. Her son was president.
Right.
And if somebody else can guess who it is,
Who the other?
well, I'm not going to give it this
Who the
trivia
other
question.
first lady / mother was?
Right.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not going. I kind of know the answer to that one, so I'm not going to give it either.
You know that? Then
Yeah.
it has to be real simple. Then,
Yeah.
if
well,
I should tighten it up.
I heard it over the weekend. So
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You weren't the only one talking about this.
Well, give the phone number and
All
maybe
right,
we can have somebody come-
978-374-1900 is the number to call in, and we'll take the first person with the correct answer to that.
You know what's interesting about with her? You know, she had the white hair. She got white hair right after her daughter died.
I didn't hear the correlation with the daughter, but I heard it was a very young age.
Very young. When
Yeah.
the daughter died at 3 years
The
old.
3-year-old daughter.
Robin of leukemia. All of a sudden, Barbara's hair turned white, and she
Wow.
never changed it.
I've heard about people that have their hair turn white when they get struck by lightning.
I've heard that. Have you?
Yeah.
Now, what'd you get?
Yeah, I got
you
struck
hit
by
a couple
lightning.
of times.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know Bob Barker?
Why do I let him in the studio? Why, you know?
I know they blockaded the road, but I had to go around. Bob Barker, remember him from the
Yes.
The Price is Right there?
Yes.
He dyed his hair until when his wife passed away. He decided that was it,
Yeah.
and so he all of a sudden became.
Wouldn't you think it'd be
gray.
just the opposite?
Well, you know,
That's why you dye yours, right?
I dye
Looking
mine.
for a lady? Yeah?
A lady. I'm into the multiple thing, Bill.
Oh, please. It's a family show, Billy. I have to remind you of that every
Well,
week.
We'll invite the family
Every
then.
week. On that note, I'm going to pause for a break, and we'll be right back right here on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Masek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
Public radio for Greater Haverhill. This is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave.
Hi, Tom Bergeron here. I started at WHAV in 1972. And look, WHAV's still here, but it won't be if you don't help support it. Go to WHAV.net. Become a contributor. Keep us going.
Community Spotlight.
Donations are wanted for Friends of Haverhill Public Library book sale. Spring cleaning? Found yourself with a bookshelf full of books? Consider letting the Haverhill Public Library take them off your hands. The Friends of the Haverhill Public Library are accepting donations of used books now for their annual sale. The book sale takes place the first week in May. For more information, call the library at 978-373-1586. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Yes, we are back, and it is 6:17, and this is the new open mic with Bill Masek and Bill Ellis. We are open lines for the first hour and maybe a part of the second hour, too, because our guest has already contacted us. He's in transit, but he has a lot of traffic and was worried he wouldn't be here in time for the start of the 7 o'clock hour, but he'll get here as soon as possible. So
It's April 23rd.
let me give the phone number, 978-374-1900. If you want to talk about anything at this point, anything that's airable on a family show, that includes you.
That means me.
That's
Billy, it's April 23rd. We have less than 6 hours to go. It's supposed to be the end of the world today.
Another one?
Well, this is supposed to be the latest.
I've lived through a lot of these end of the worlds.
Really?
Yeah. Remember, how about 1999? How we were gonna, all the computers were gonna burn up and go crazy and not work right. And Didn't happen.
No, very, very minimal problems with that. Well, I think we have a call, Will.
We have a call.
Let's see if he
Let's
has
go
to
right to that call. So
answer the question.
We can change the topic. Hello, caller.
I am the caller.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great.
Your guest should have hitched a ride with Bill, huh?
Yeah,
should have.
Yeah, they should have come together, but they were coming. Actually, I know they were both coming from different areas, so that.
The only problem is I don't have email.
Yeah. Well, I said that. You know, our guest called, and I said, why? No, but I said out in the front office, I said, why did he call? Why didn't he just send an email?
Well, I was listening. You know what? As much as I like Howie Carr, I did listen to you for the first few minutes.
Hey, thank you.
And I give Howie a little
Let
plug.
Howie know that he's got competition here.
That's right. Caller, how are you tonight?
We don't have 30 stations, but we have a lot of variety of output, both on radio and television. And
That's right. He doesn't have his face on TV, does he?
I know. I think he does, but it's something
Well,
not as good as ours. We're right on the major cable stations.
But you know the thing about you and I, Will?
Huh.
We're both natural, regular guys. He's had hair restoration. He's had stomach bands put on.
Weight loss.
Everything. I
Yeah.
mean, you and I.
That's right.
God created us this
is
way,
it.
and this is the way we're keeping
Right.
it.
Well,
unfortunately.
That's okay. You know what? We're more in the mainstream.
It's talking about mainstream. You want to go swimming later on?
In a mainstream.
In a mainstream.
Not for speed.
What? Okay, we got a caller. We're just clowning around here.
I'm sorry,
Hello,
caller.
hello.
You had probably something serious to talk about.
Did you call in to win the Sanborn Tire and Auto certificate? Do you know the?
I don't have a car, but I could always give it to someone who does.
You didn't win the one last week, right?
No, I didn't.
Because it's funny, the guy who won it last week said, I don't have a car either, but I'll give it to my mother, I think he said. So,
Yes.
But if you want to win, all right, Bill, ask the question.
All right, Barbara Bush, God rest her soul, had a distinction that only one other woman in American history could have. She had a husband that was president and a son that was president. Who was
must
the
be
woman?
referring to Mrs. Adams.
Abigail Adams. And you know what's interesting about with Abigail Adams? The Adamses, Billy, you probably didn't know this. They lost a daughter and a son. They lost a daughter to, they think it was cancer back then, and they also lost a son to alcoholism.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh,
What
that's
family
why.
did?
The Adams family.
Oh, the Adams.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
I used to love that show.
Did you like that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were running it.
So,
for a
so
while,
was that
but-
Pugsley and Little Wendy that died?
That's kind of cruel. Two people died and you're making fun of them. Just wait till I hope I get to eulogize
How many
you
other
at your
people
wake.
fought exactly, but they couldn't think of the names? I just helped them out.
No, that wasn't the names. By the way, I think there's a role for you in TV or the movies. Mini-Me's dead. They need a
That's
replacement.
right. Oh, that's cruel. Vern Troyer, at the age of 49, is no longer with us. So
And I believe it's suicide. It was reading an
if
article
Mike
about-
Myers wants to do another, follow-up, part 2,
You do resemble him.
yeah, well, but you're more his height, so
I beg your pardon. Look at my hands.
please, Donald.
So
You know, Bill, when you talk about trivia,
Yes.
be very, very careful.
Why?
Because it's so easy to dispute something on a technicality.
That's
For
true.
example, several weeks ago, you, Bill Ellis, said something about the only married couple on the Andy Griffith Show. Do you remember that?
well, the regulars. I mean, they had others,
regulars,
but the
right.
regulars was just Otis and his wife.
What about Floyd?
Did they ever show Floyd's wife? No, they can't be married. Because I just watched an episode the other day
Floyd the
where
barber.
Floyd was on a dating service, but it was like how we know
yeah,
today.
I remember that one.
And the woman came and she thought Floyd was wealthy and she wanted to take him over a barrel.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
So if Floyd was,
referred to himself as the widower. But if you go back to the early shows, actually, the one where Andy delivered a baby,
okay, was it Floyd's child?
and Floyd was going to take his wife's walking stick to use as a weapon.
So do you mean to tell me that Floyd was playing around in that episode that he was in the dating service?
Oh no! But you know that in particular industry, they're pretty sloppy with things like that.
Well, originally when the show started, Andy and Barney were cousins.
Yep.
But then they wrote that out and they became friends.
Yeah, 2 or 3 episodes
Right.
they were actually related.
And
And then he started in 1959, and then he started in 1953. You know, so they're pretty sloppy with that stuff.
yeah, they changed it around. They thought there was because there were different writers and so forth, but the theme was it was an
that was a
excellent
good show. It was definitely wholesome, and had Aunt B. And
Do you know
Opie? Opie turned out pretty good.
Opie was great. In real life, Aunt B did not like Andy Griffith.
Really?
She hated him. In fact, I was reading that Opie and Andy went to visit her. She ended up settling in North Carolina, by the way. She wouldn't come to the door. She didn't want to talk to them.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess
It's funny how some people
miserable.
just they're not grateful at all for the notoriety they have, the fame they have, and they just
Well, I heard that the actress who played Aunt B, Frances Bavier,
Yes.
right.
actually apologized for her behavior
Later on in
toward the end
life.
of her life.
Yeah.
I read that someplace.
Yeah,
Well, that's
you're right.
good.
At the end, she did. She apologized
That's
that she
good to
was
hear.
miserable, and
At least she realized.
a lot of people, when they come to almost the very end of their life, they're remorseful for certain things. And Bill, what are you remorseful for? You're coming close to the end.
I haven't done anything wrong yet.
Well, is there anybody that you
I
dislike that you
invited
regret,
you
or-
to be my co-host.
So this is your regret?
Don't ask me that.
No.
All right. No, only kidding. You know that.
Well, speaking of trivia, you know that a few years ago on the open mic show, that there was a trivia question about that hot tub place that used to be downtown,
Okay. Yeah.
and the name of the hot tub place. Well, when it was first opened up, it was called Japan.
Japan.
I mean, that wasn't the right answer for the trivia because they had it down as Nirvana.
Ah.
And
okay.
Tim was hosting the show back then. He said, well, that's not the answer I have here. And I said, I know. The answer you have in front of you is Nirvana. But
Okay.
before that, it was Japan. But people forget.
Yeah. That's true. Or they didn't. I couldn't have given you either answer. So
You never went to the hot tub?
never
I
went.
wish we still had
No.
that, but my wife and I used to go down there.
No, never went.
Was it a community bath, or was just you and your wife enjoying the
Oh,
tub?
there were individual rooms.
I see.
I
And,
mean, if you wanted to fit more than 2 people in them, yeah, that's up to you.
wow, interesting.
Okay.
Billy, maybe
And
you
clothing was optional.
was it option?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see you in a Roman bath, Billy.
Me.
You being fed grapes and so forth, and you would be Caligula.
Yeah. What would you like? Mud bath?
Yeah, I'd have to cover this body up. Cement.
Like Louis Litt on Suits. Do you ever
Yeah.
see that?
No.
He's always in a mud bath. That show has one more 2 1-hour episodes, they call it. For I think it's this week. The show, I think it's been on like 8 seasons. Suits. It's about lawyers. Being a lawyer, watch it when I can.
Yeah, I don't watch. I've never watched it.
Found it interesting. It was better in the beginning. It's not as I understand why it's not continuing beyond.
Well, sometimes writers get stale.
Yeah, right. So
It's
like
in Seinfeld.
our writers are on strike.
For here?
That's why we have to bump
improvise?
along the way we do. Yeah.
Well, I can see why your writer has been on strike for a while.
All
So,
right.
Paula, what did you do today for excitement? It's a beautiful day outside. Did you go out and enjoy?
No, I didn't do anything exciting, but I did spend some time on my deck.
No, that's good.
Nice.
That was very nice.
Clothing optional on that deck too.
Now,
or-
what's this
No,
with you
yeah.
clothing optional
I'm,
thing?
I'm just playing along.
Well,
No,
the thing
we're not
about
playing
that,
it. This
though,
is serious.
If you go too close to the railing,
Yeah.
you can be seen by others.
Oh, so just stay up
so,
close to the house.
Billy, why don't you
Yeah,
go
if you're
clothing
close to the
optional to the third rail?
Well, one time there used to be this police officer in Haverhill who would occasionally come by my house to confer with me on certain things.
Yeah.
And so naturally the neighbors look out and they'd see the police cruiser.
Ah. So they
And
probably
they
think
asked-
somebody
what was
somebody
the police
complained
doing?
about you.
Huh?
They think there was something going on that you had to either be spoken to or.
Well, they just wanted to know, and
Yeah.
so I would say, well, they caught me sunbathing out on the deck.
You would nude sunbathing?
Yeah. And then so I said, but I said neighbor so-and-so said it was okay.
Really? You were the guy Billy must have been talking about then.
I guess.
When you're excited, you cast a small shadow.
I don't even know where he lives.
Wow. There actually are some areas that I've read where you can stand nude in your doorway, but once you step out, it's considered illegal. So you can drive down the street, see
areas of
somebody
the country
nude.
you're talking about,
that's
communities?
public.
Yeah.
So are you a naturalist or a nudist or whatever they call it, caller?
Well, I guess you could say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's the most unusual place you were nude?
Unusual?
Yeah, I mean, like, did you decide to get adventurous sometime?
Or risque?
Risque is
yeah.
the other word?
I don't know. Church?
You were nude in
Nude
church?
in church? Wow.
Billy, you can carry this conversation on. I plan on going to heaven.
I think we're about ready to take a break. I just want to say, caller, you have picked up the certificate to Sanborn Tire and Auto, 355 River Street in Haverhill. Good for any service, tires to full auto repair. They do a great job. And will you stay on the line, and Chris will take all of your information so we can get you that certificate, and then you can be the big man around your area and give it away to whoever you choose.
And you know what? Next week our trivia is going to be, if you're a nudist, you send in photographs, and we'll determine the winner.
No,
by that.
I don't want. No. He's only kidding, listeners. Only kidding. So.
You're saying just
it's
post
P.O.
it
Box.
at WHAV.net.
Okay. This is the new
Thank you,
open mic show, which I would like to have continued for a little longer than tonight. I'm Bill Masick. Bill Ellis is with me tonight, at least until 7 o'clock, and we're waiting for our guest, Dr. V.A. Shiva, who invented email, and we'll be talking about that and other things with the good doctor, and that will be sometime after 7 o'clock right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Masick and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 6:31.
For more in-depth coverage of the news, visit WHAV's website at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave!
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with WAVE weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
Wave weather!
Here is the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, clear, low 37, light south winds. Tuesday, increasing late day cloudiness with a chance of scattered showers developing at night. High 69, low 49, south winds at around 10 miles per hour. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy skies with rain and isolated thunderstorms. High 55, low 49. East winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Open mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Back again on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM, 978-374-1900. You just heard that number from our fancy booth announcer, but I'll say it again, 978-374-1900, because we'd like to hear from you. Now, I know it's a beautiful night, And I don't think you can say you're out mowing the lawn yet. It won't be long, but give us a call if there's something on your mind. How about, did you hear what happened in Toronto?
9 dead.
9 dead. I know. They started, I think, at a couple, then it went to 4, and then now it's 9.
What do you think it is? They're not saying...
well,
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. It's terrorist.
Well, that's what I think.
Anytime there's a rented van, there's usually a terrorist behind it.
Right. And if it isn't a terrorist that's associated with a terrorist group, it's a self-proclaimed terrorist that, just lost lost his mind, I'll say, and went off the deep end. And because this is the way it all started. It was terrorists that were the first ones to start these car attacks. And now we've had, 4 to 6 of them at least.
I was listening to a thing on BBC last night. You know how many deaths they've had the past couple of months in London from knives?
Knives?
Knives.
I heard that they were increasing, but I don't know the number.
Like 20 deaths in 2 months, 14 knives, six guns.
Well, that's why the mayor was trying to actually ban certain knives, at least for carrying in London.
Yeah, well, they talked to one kid. He had a 15-inch knife, and he said he used it because it was a great threat. So if I came up to you with a 15-inch knife, good chance you're going to hand over anything I want.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And you could probably do as much damage on me as if you had an M15. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though, Billy.
What will come next? What's going to be ban guns, so forks, right? And then
spoons.
You have to have at least a minimum of 4 prongs on a fork. You couldn't, because if you start bending them back, it becomes a little knife, right?
That's true.
Right. So you maybe you have to blunt them too. You can't have sharp tongs. No. And then we'll go chopsticks and so forth. So I would tell you, it's. And then I saw a lady this afternoon. I think she was traveling internationally, and she got thrown off. Yeah, she got thrown off her plane for having an apple, and they were fining her. What, $500?
$500 because she didn't claim the apple. The reason being is she was given the apple by the airlines, and if you bring in produce from outside of the country, you're supposed to declare it. She had it in her bag, and she wanted to eat it at a later time. They checked her bag, found the apple. Now she's in trouble.
And the airline gave it to her.
The airline gave it to her. Yeah.
Yeah. California doesn't want to have a border on their southern border, right? But and this just hit me the other day because I've done this a number of times. When you travel toward California from Nevada, they have a station where they stop you to see if you have any plants or vegetables. So, they can do that to normal U.S. citizens traveling in the United States, yet they want no border on the southern border. Even if they set up maybe what I just said, if they would at least set up a station to check people for plants and vegetables on the southern border, at least then you could also ask them, to see their papers.
Yeah, but Jerry Brown's not going to want that.
Well, Jerry's going to be gone. This is his last year.
Well, I tell you, there's a revolt going on in California right now.
Right.
There are a lot of people that don't want it to be a sanctuary state, and because they see the turmoil that's taking place in that state.
Right.
It's going to hell in a handbasket. It's probably one of the worst states you can live in right now.
No, the worst as far as cost and just overall burgeoning government.
Right. And there's an exodus in the state, and I think they're heading towards Texas, which is known to be a pretty conservative state.
They are, and Texas has no state tax versus California, which has, I think, the highest individual state tax. So it'll be like getting a giant raise just for moving there.
Well, the thing,
if your job isn't moving, that makes it a little.
It does make it
But
tough.
if the whole company says, "Hey, we're going to Texas, come with us," think that'll happen?
That's a possibility.
But Holly will never leave the L.A. area.
But let them stay there. Let them stay there.
That sounded mean and cruel.
No, it's not mean and cruel. Let them stay there. That's where they want to be. Let them stay there. I mean, have you ever heard any good actor or actress that's liberal come out and say anything worthwhile? they're always talking about if Trump wins, they're moving to Australia, they're moving to France. Do they end up moving? No.
No. Well, I remember Cher said she was going to move to Canada if Trump had gotten elected. But then after he got elected, I heard a report that said there's a 2-year backup for people to apply to become citizens of Canada, and they don't allow you to just cross the border and, kind of hang out beyond your time you're supposed to be there. So they'll send you back home or they'll put you in jail, just like the Mexicans do. They're the same way. Mexico either sends you back to your country or they put you in jail for 2 years just for not being there with, proper passport or visa.
And here they welcome you with open arms. And give you every benefit in the world.
Right.
God bless America.
It just, I'm not opposed to immigration. I'm not opposed to people doing it right.
Either am I.
I just have a problem with the abundance of abuse, and I have to call it abuse because that's not the law. If we want the law to be, come on, everybody, we're not going to check you, just move in, then that should be the law. But it's not the law.
It's not the law.
And I'm just a law-abiding kind of guy, and I like to follow the law, and if it needs to be changed, we'll change it. But don't just decide which laws you want to pick and choose to use, and other ones you're just going to disobey.
Well, their argument is this is a country of immigrants. If you came here legally, that's fine.
Right.
If illegally, that's the thing that I don't like. If you don't go by what's the prescribed procedure to come into this country, then you shouldn't be in here.
And there are many people in line right now. For years, they're waiting for their opportunity.
The other thing, too, Billy, is when my grandparents on my mother's side came from Italy and Sicily, they came to this country looking for the American dream.
Right.
They worked.
Correct.
They did not speak Italian in front of the children because they wanted them to learn English because English was the language of this country. They didn't come here and say, look, we want everybody around us to speak Italian. It would have been tough for them because they resided in South Boston, which was, predominant Irish.
Right.
But
right.
And that's what these people are doing. They're coming over here, the Muslims. And
I don't think you can't paint with a broad brush.
Well, I'm going to break with them because a lot of them they want to bring Sharia law into
that's
this
true,
country.
And that's what is happening in England, in the London area in particular, and that's they have parts of London that are under Sharia law. They've actually gone that far as to make it the rule of the land for certain districts.
Well, I tell you, there's going to be some sort of a revolution, not a revolution maybe in terms of a big battle, but there's going to be something that's going to have to change.
Well, I noticed you with your musket in your car.
I did have my musket in my car.
Yeah, and you got your three-corner hat.
I do.
Yeah. All right. I'm giving up too much personal information. I'll stop right there.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It's like the.
That's all right.
It's like on Sanford and Son when he was talking about Concord and Lexington, and he said, as they said there, don't fire until you see the whites.
Terrible, Bill. Come on.
6:42
is the time right now. This is the new open mic program. I'm Bill Masick, and Bill Ellis, my co-host, is here tonight. We're open lines until at least 7 o'clock or a little after, as we're waiting for our invited guest for this evening, Dr. V.A. Shiva, and I'm going to put it in quotes, little air quotes here, the inventor of email.
You know what's interesting about with Dr. Shiva? He's an Indian. He's from the country India.
Right.
And he wants to take over the Senate seat that's held by Elizabeth Warren, who pretends to be an American Indian. So, did you find that a little ironic?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting play on words.
It is an interesting play on words.
It is. But he's running as an independent, and I was saving that. But now that you have the cat out of the bag, he is a candidate for Liz Warren's seat. She's up for re-election. And there will be others. The Republicans will have their people too, but he was going to run as a Republican. So I read, and then they were not as fond of him as they were a few other people to run for the seat. And so he decided, okay, I'll just run as an independent.
There's another,
and you got to give him credit for that. He has 4 PhDs from MIT.
Yeah, he's a pretty brilliant guy.
So Doctor V.A. Shiva.
Mm-hmm. So if you went to him, would you get 4 bills? Hey, quick question. Hey, you know how old he was?
We got 2 bills in this room, and that's already too many.
It's a double bill I don't want to see. Right. Do you realize, I think he was like 14 years old.
He was 14 when he invented email, right?
Yeah.
Right. What country was it in? I don't remember any of the details. I'm going to ask him.
He was working for a pharmaceutical place.
In the United States?
In the United States. I mean, the guy's a genius.
So he was working at 14.
Yeah.
Did he have
his papers?
His papers to work as a 14-year-old? Was he working part-time?
If he wasn't, then you could probably represent him.
We have an action here. That's right.
Company.
We have an action coming.
Pay you off in drugs.
Right. No, thank you. No, thank you.
We should ask, actually, the other candidates that are running. We should ask Liz Warren to come on board here.
We will.
The fellow named Deal.
Yeah, Jeff Deal.
Yep, there's a gal
he's a Republican
out of Rentham that's running on a Republican ticket.
Right.
Who actually they say is picking up a lot of steam, but they don't think she'll have quite enough. They share her favorable rating is very high, but they don't think she's got enough name recognition.
That would
go forward.
She might be an excellent candidate just because woman versus woman, not Indian versus woman, but woman versus woman, because there is a surge in women voting for women. I've heard it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there's a lot of support that the women are giving to female candidates.
Well, how about the women that did not vote for Hillary? And
Hillary would like a list. If you have a list, she'd like a list of those people.
She blames those women for listening to their husbands, their brothers, and their bosses.
You know that's not true.
I know it's not true, but do you realize that there's a book that just came out that apparently when she was told that she lost, she said, I knew they were going to do this to me. Like she was the heir apparent that she should have been blessed with the presidency because she was Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's the way she felt, and look what happened. But,
and she's not going
Hillary's
away.
Got more excuses than Carter has.
Liver pills.
You got it. And on that note, we're going to take a break at 6:45 right here on the new open mic with Bill Masick and Bill Ellis at WHAV 97.9 FM.
Bill Masick and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
Stay informed each day with local news coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
How does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve.
Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. on WHAV.
Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Back again on the new open mic on WHAV. You still have time to give us a call, 978-374-1900. And I think we have one caller on hold. But anything else on your mind, Bill, that you want to mention? Or?
Well, you want to talk about the cake? We giving away a cake?
We could talk about it again, though. People have just today to call in with a May birthday, because we're drawing it next week. Although we'll take some calls beginning of the show, but next week we will be drawing for the cake from LBD's Italian Bakery in Bradford Square. 978-374-1900 is the number to call, either a birthday of somebody you know or an anniversary.
Now, we happen to have a gentleman that won the cake who celebrated his 90th birthday on April 15th. Let's bring up Jerry.
Let's do that. Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Jerry.
Great program. How are you?
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
And I got my beautiful cake from Albies.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the world's best fig squares this time. I got the world's best carrot muffins.
As long as you're getting something that's the world's best, you're probably in pretty good shape.
Best.
Really?
You get the world's best radio show.
I like carrot muffins.
But now I'm an expert on carrot. I know they. My wife got them. They're like carrot cake and with a little ginger and they're to die for. I'll tell you, really, they're terrific.
Now, did it have that white frosting on top or no frosting?
No, on the cake was beautiful.
No frosting.
The cake was a chocolate cake.
No, not the cake, the muffin.
No, nothing on the muffin.
Just a carrot
it's just like
cake muffin.
Well, she was supposed to get bran muffins, but she saw these there, and she knew that I liked carrot cake, and so that's what they were. I think I don't know what they call them, but
that's.
Getting back
I'm sure
to,
they call them carrot cake
the,
muffins.
The food on the woman had on the plane, and you can really understand why they don't want to do that. They don't want you to bring anything in. It's because they're concerned about insects and plant disease from foreign countries.
Right.
You know?
That's right. No, we understand why, but
do you think the airline should have told her eat the apple now?
Yeah, you can't take that with you.
They don't want any food. They don't want you bringing in any food from another country.
But Jerry, did you hear what I said about California? How when you're going from Nevada down the they got to stop.
That's what I want to talk about. I wish the FDA was a little more vigilant on where lettuce is grown in the United States. But a lot of our lettuce and those kinds of things during the winter months, it comes from South America, I think, don't they?
Right.
Bill?
I think so.
Yeah. In fact, there was just
that romaine scare.
Yeah, there was a recall.
The romaine. I don't know what can you do. You can't boil it, right?
No. You can, but you reckon.
What I do is what my wife Mary Lou does is she puts it in ice water, and the Methuen water has a pretty good residual of chlorine anyway. You know.
Yeah.
And so she'll do that, but.
Well, that's what we do. We just rinse it, ice water.
I never done any research on it or anything, but I'm hoping that the chlorine in the city water will wipe out any salmonella, which is that's a dreaded disease.
Right.
Billy, if you ever want to become an Italian singer, that's the name. Salmonella.
Salmonella.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Jerry, you're a pretty smart individual. You've been around a long time.
Pardon?
I said you're a smart individual and you've been around a long time. There's one question that I have. Remember?
I can't hear you.
Well, Jerry, get a hearing aid.
Oh, okay, now I can.
You got up to the microphone. But can I just jump in for one second?
Go ahead.
You said salmonella would be I got the byline.
What is it?
His singing will kill you.
His singing will
kill
kill
you. It's killing you.
Salmonella is a gram-negative rod that produces if you have salmonella, you'll be on the, you really need antibiotics.
Right.
It's a warm-blooded organism. It grows in your intestine, or the intestine of animals. And I was involved in a foodborne crisis years and years ago with DEP in 1978. I was responsible for shutting down all the shellfish areas along the coast of Massachusetts.
Is that the red tide?
As a result of the red tide.
Right. Yeah, the red tide.
You weren't involved with typhoid.
Goniolex tamarensis.
You weren't involved with Typhoid Mary, also, were you?
Yeah.
You were?
And that was really bad. We had 11 people in the hospital, 2 in iron lungs, But I called FDA quickly, and they came to our aid, and then the department the Department of Food and Drug director, his name was, I forgot what his name was, but anyway, he took action right away. He went into the cities and confiscated all the shellfish, no matter where it came from.
Yeah.
And you could watch the cases drop. What they call a logarithmic growth scale.
Yeah.
They'll shoot up first, and then once you get the things under control, the curve will flatten out, and then the number of cases will go down to the baseline. And that's what we were very fortunate because
interesting.
So Jerry,
only 11 people got sick, 2 in the no fatalities, 2 in the as I said in the in an air situation, but they all survived, and because that paralytic shellfish poison was deadly.
More tough stuff. Yeah.
Very tough.
Yeah.
But Jerry,
let me just mention that Jerry is a former Mass DEP guy, and he's one of the smartest guys I know, and he still stays up with things. And Jerry, you are just amazing. So keep it up. But that's why you have the knowledge you do and the information you can tell us because you lived it.
Doing pretty good.
You lived it, Jerry.
Yeah, that's why I had a couple of questions for him because I know how intelligent he is. The first one, being involved with the red tide, is it true that she sold seashells by the seashore?
No, it wasn't anything. It had to be alive. It had to be a bivalve.
Okay. The second one, Jerry, this one has been bugging me for about 45 years now.
Pardon?
I have a question. When you eat pork chops, they always say that you have to have applesauce afterwards in case the pork chops are poisonous. Have you ever heard that story?
No, I don't. But I know why you cook pork chops at a very high temperature because in the olden days when they used swill to feed the pigs, there was the potential for what's called tularemia. And as a result of that, it's a really not almost a fatal disease.
Trugaremia.
I
never heard. What about trichinosis?
Trichinosis.
Is that in relation to hypnosis?
What is that?
It's an infection that grows in swill and then the pigs ingest that.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Then, unless you cook it really thoroughly, when you're cooking pork, you shouldn't be able to see the pink. That's
right.
for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's you're tempting death if you cook pork chops and they're not just 100%.
Do them really, cook them well, really.
Now, how do you feel about the saying with pork, the other white meat? Is it really a white meat? It's kind of pink.
Is it?
Yeah.
Pardon? I didn't hear that.
The other white meat they call pork? Is that something?
No, I don't know much about that.
You know what? Right. I just he just brought
used to have ads with that.
He brought up a word that I think that you should use to change your name. You should
Why are you changing my name tonight?
Well, because you use other aliases. You
professional
use,
monikers.
Rick James and whatever, Dick Hopkins. You should call yourself S. Will Masick.
Swell. Thanks, Bill. Okay.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jerry. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You're a lot of fun and information to talk to. And please, call in any time. We always appreciate hearing from you.
Well, I thought it was kind of timely because of how many states in the United States right now have this lettuce.
Salmonella
in lettuce,
I know.
I think it is.
And it is timely to remind people to be cautious on how they have to wash their fruits and vegetables.
So concerned, the United States is so concerned about people getting over the borders. I wish they'd be as concerned about the food that's being distributed to our.
But I got one more thing that'll get you going, and we only have a couple minutes. But Jerry, did you see the information about all the the septage plants along the Merrimack just dumping raw sewerage into the Merrimack?
October 26th last year, they dumped 9 million gallons, they said. But
it just happened again with all the rainfall.
I heard that.
Just recently,
yeah.
they got 2 overflows.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of them.
For that,
yeah, there is no excuse. Fix it. You know, we got to fix that.
The DEP's policy that a sewage treatment plant that has 2 outlet lines of electricity coming into it doesn't have alternative power. That's a crazy policy. And in this particular case, it was only 1 because the so-called 2 to the Greater Lawrence was actually the junction from 1 power source.
Right, and Greater Lawrence serves 4 communities, I think. And I know, and I can tell you that that State Representative Linda Dean Campbell is working to get those generators in place as soon as possible.
Get the generators and also notify people down gradient. It's seriously, Haverhill is is in the process of diverting from the Merrimack with the use of their new radial well, which is going to be capable of producing 6 million gallons a day.
Right.
And it's going to be set in the
shoreline
in the river.
Yeah, no, it's going to be set in the shoreline. It's an embankment type. It's not. We're not just putting a pipe in it, sucking out the water.
You got what's called induced inflow. In other words, when you start to pump those wells that are along the Merrimack River, like North Andover did, the coliform numbers were out of sight.
Well, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. That's why we need notification, like you said.
Never used those wells.
Right, Jerry. I got to take a break right now, but thank you for calling. We'll talk to you maybe next week. Thanks a lot.
Jerry. You know, talking about the romaine thing, I had
Bill. You see the clock? We got a top of the hour
seconds?
break. This is a hard break.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
we're not
a
national network show.
We're not.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
I didn't tell you.
I was sitting in a conference room the other day. We were all about to have lettuce, and then somebody brought up the story with salad, and somebody brought up the story about the romaine recall and so forth. So we all bowed our heads and said, "Let us pray."
Yeah. All right, thanks,
Chris
Bill.
likes that one.
All right. Okay, this is the new open mic show. 1 hour down, 1 to go. Sometime next hour, we do expect our guest, Dr. V.A. Shiva, the inventor of email, right here, and also a candidate for U.S. Senate. He's going to be right here in this studio.
All right,
at WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Masek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 7:02.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
What's happening in local news. Mayor James Fiorentini and State Representative Andy Vargas said Friday that Haverhill's downtown district and nearby Mount Washington neighborhood have been federally designated as opportunity zones. Haverhill has attracted significant investment over the years, which has transformed our community for the better, Fiorentini said. The designation will help position us for continued investment and expanded opportunities for business and residents. The announcement comes on the heels of Governor Charlie Baker including the city on a list of 138 Massachusetts cities and towns eligible for tax incentives and other economic benefits. His list is now with the U.S. Treasury for formal approval. Haverhill applied for the designation earlier this year when the Baker-Polito administration said the city could see a boost in local business, housing, and commercial construction. Vargas is hopeful the designation will further put Haverhill on the map. So many of our communities across the state and country are not given the same opportunities for growth as bigger cities, though they often possess the same potential, Vargas said. This designation means Haverhill can strengthen public-private sector relationships and reinvest in the local economy, which sends a message that we're ready to create economic opportunity in Haverhill. Lowell and Lawrence were among other Merrimack Valley locations submitted for federal approval. Nearly half of the locations are, like Haverhill, considered gateway cities. When Representative Diana DeZoglio heads into budget debate sessions this week at the State House, two Haverhill interest groups will be top of mind: veterans and those in need of special education benefits. Securing $300,000 for the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center and Career Resources Corporation to provide veteran housing and job training during the last budget cycle, DeZoglio hopes for a repeat in the next fiscal year. In amendments to the proposed House budget, DeZoglio asks for $200,000 to be earmarked for career resources. She also requests $100,000 for the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center, the group that intends to revamp the former Gerson Furniture Building into veterans housing. While DeZoglio has yet to meet Haverhill's new superintendent, Margaret Marotta, the lawmaker tells WHAV she looks forward to fighting for the city's special education students and working with Marotta to effectively target funding. A lot of times, we don't fund special education services at the state level like we committed to fund, so that puts a strain on the local school budgets and municipal budgets, DeZoglio said. We want to make sure we're not passing down unfunded mandates from the state level. In conversations with local educators, regional transportation has been a frequent cause for concern, DeZoglio told WHAV. The state needs to hold up their end of the bargain, is what they say, and I wholeheartedly agree with them, she said. The new budget goes into effect on July 1st.
Business Bulletin.
Plasto, New Hampshire information technology service provider RMON Networks has named Regina Andler as the company's business solutions manager. In her new role, Andler oversees a team of engineers, service representatives, and sales consultants in their effort to provide customer support across the Merrimack Valley and southern New Hampshire. Andler has already won over RMON colleagues, including President and CEO Tim Howard. Howard said, quote, "Regina is a great listener and problem solver. These attributes shine through when she's educating our clients about the technology solutions available to help grow and run their business." Prior to joining RMON, Andler owned 2 computer repair companies and was employed in leadership roles at Virtual Access Networks and Navisite. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Kim Whiting.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kevin McAleese. Police arrest a man suspected of killing 4 people at a Waffle House in Tennessee on Sunday. Travis Reinking had been on the run since the incident. The White House says the US will continue its campaign of maximum pressure against North Korea, despite reports the regime is moving towards denuclearization, and Armenia's Prime Minister resigns following 2 weeks of demonstrations against his leadership.
Wave weather.
Here is the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, clear, low 37, light south winds. Tuesday, increasing late day cloudiness with a chance of scattered showers developing at night. High 69, low 49, south winds at around 10 miles per hour. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy skies with rain and isolated thunderstorms. High 55, low 49. East winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
This spot could have been yours. Support WHAV's local approach with your underwriting. Go to WHAV.net and click on advertising to reach thousands of new customers. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back for our second hour. on the new Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM. I'm Bill Masick. My co-host is Bill Ellis, sitting at the far side now. And in the middle, we have our guest who has arrived, and good timing, Dr. Shiva. I call you Dr. Shiva because some of your stuff said Dr. V.A. Shiva.
Yeah, you can call me Dr. Shiva.
All
You know,
right.
my last name is Ayyadurai.
Ayyadurai, okay.
But it's Shiva.
Okay.
Shiva's good.
Great. Shiva it is. All right.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate the fact that your campaign, I think, or somebody reached out to us here at WHAV, and we're very happy to have you on the show. And because not only are you an inventor, a successful businessman, among other things, 4 degrees from MIT, four doctorate degrees, correct? And,
I have 4 degrees,
so,
one doctorate, 2 masters, and my bachelor's.
Not bad. So it's no question who the smartest man in the room is tonight. But
well, there's a lot of smart people in America. You don't need degrees to show you're smart.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I really want to hear at least some about your email invention, because that just, I can't believe that I'm in the same room with the guy who invented email and how you did it. I saw a little of it on your on the information that was sent to me, but I'd like to talk about that a little bit. And then I also want to talk about your independent campaign for U.S. Senate here in Massachusetts.
Sure. Well, he created email. He invented that. I created spam based on his invention.
That's good.
Tell us about that. 14 years young?
Yeah. The invention of email, to be very fair, is no different than many innovations that have come out in America. And the story of the invention of email, or the facts about it, I think are extremely important for everyone to understand, because what they do is they exemplify that innovation can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. You don't need to be in Silicon Valley. You don't need to go to MIT. In fact, I invented email long before I went to MIT. So I think that's really the heart of it, and it brings out some very, very important political issues also. So here's a background. I grew up in India. I was born in India. Grew up in the city of Bombay, but also grew up in a small village. And you got to understand, India has a caste system, and you'll hear me use the word system a lot. So as a kid, I was very interested in these systems. Why was there systems of oppression? My grandmother, by the way, was a village healer. She could observe your face. She could predict what was going on in your body using very interesting systems of Indian medicine, what we call alternative medicine now.
Right.
Yoga, these kinds of things. So I was also interested in medicine. So when I came to the United States as a 7-year-old kid, I knew the enormous opportunity America had to offer. So I worked really hard. But not only in studies, I was a good baseball player. I had a lawn mowing business. I was your all-American kid.
Did you play cricket?
I never played cricket. Played baseball, though. Pitched and played short. I was pretty good.
Cricket's pretty big in India.
Cricket's big in India.
Yeah.
It's big in Australia. It's big all over England. It's sort of we don't really play it here,
right?
Except small groups of people. But I really love baseball. I love soccer. But in parallel to my interest in sports and working, a lot of my teachers were amazing people. My chemistry teachers, my high school teachers in New Jersey. We first settled in Paterson, which was one of the poorest towns in the United States, then to Clifton, and then to Parsippany and Livingston. And my parents kept moving to the higher property tax district because you didn't have school choice in those days.
Right.
So you went to get better education. But by the time I was 14, I had finished up calculus, which was sort of pretty novel in those days. And my high school had no other math courses to offer me. And this is in 1978. So think about it. 1978, it's at a time when a computer would probably fill up 10 of these rooms. But a very, very futuristic professor at NYU, New York University, which was across the river from New Jersey, had an innovative idea. He could see the future in the sense we were going to need, technicians, software engineers. This is a new concept, the concept of writing software programs. But he saw that 30 years out, and he decided he was going to invite 40 students from high school to come to NYU, one of the premier institutions at the computer science, and he would teach them computer science. These would be the elite of the elite. In 8 weeks, it was a military-like training program. You would learn 7 programming languages, and I was fortunate to be one of those students selected. I was a freshman in high school. My dear mom would drop me off at the Newark Penn Station in Newark, and then I would take it in about an hour ride in the subway into New York.
Yeah.
And remember, nowadays parents are afraid to send their kids down the street. I used to take the train in and back to New York. Anyway, I finished top of the class, learned 7 different languages. And so here I come back to high school, and it's sort of a downer, right? It's not that much of a challenge. I still have some humanities courses to do. But I had an amazing woman teacher who was an independent studies teacher. She worked with the administration of the school to change the rules so I could go to Newark, New Jersey, and because I'd gotten a job as a software engineer, as a programmer at what was then known as Rutgers Medical School. And the reason I was interested was I thought I'd have the chance to do medical research. While I was doing medical research, my mentor there, Dr. Les Michelson, he said, Shiva, look, I have a big challenge for you. Many people over the age of 40 will remember many organizations had 2 ways of communicating, right? One was through the phone system, right? You'd have your phone, your landline phone, and you had this thing called the inter-office mail system.
Right.
Right? If people remember, and it was always run by every office had a secretary who had her on her desk, a physical desktop to you millennials, there was a physical desk, and on that desktop was a typewriter.
Yeah.
There was an inbox, an outbox. There was a trash can underneath, big metal file folders, right? And on that typewriter, she would write a thing called a proverbial memo, and it had a very particular structure: to, from, subject, and then you'd had carbon copy.
Yeah.
And what a carbon copy meant was literally a carbon copy. So if I sent you a letter and I send one to, Bill, and I wanted to CC him, I'd put carbon copy, and I'd have to put 2 sheets of bond paper. Now, the interesting thing was, if you were doing 10 carbon copies, the secretary would be typing there all day.
Right.
But this is how offices worked. If you were going to hire someone, you'd write a cover letter, you'd attach their resume with a little paper clip, and you'd put it in these envelopes called the inter-office mail envelope, tie it up.
That's right.
And then you'd put it inside a pneumatic tube, and then it would get sent around. Anyway, this was a very complex system. And look, in those days, those computers could do simple text messages. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the entire system. I, as a 14-year-old kid, worked day and night until 2 in the morning. I was so excited because to be given this opportunity, and I converted that entire system into 50,000 lines of computer code capturing every feature, inbox, outbox, BCC, CC, and I called that system email, a term never used before in the English language. Why? Because the programming language and the operating system only allowed 5 characters. It wasn't an obvious term. And then I got accepted into MIT. And look, I didn't know a lot about the laws. Interesting enough, in 1978, you couldn't patent software. You couldn't even copyright software. Because the politicians in Congress had no idea what software meant. However, I go to MIT in 81. On the front page of the MIT newspaper, they list 3 interesting students. I was one of them. Interesting enough, the president of MIT said, Shiva, you should copyright it. It's unfortunate the Supreme Court doesn't allow you to patent software, and that's what I did by myself, wrote away. You had to send in all your 50,000 lines of code. On August 30th, 1982, an American kid gets officially recognized as the inventor of email by being issued the first copyright. So I called it email, have the copyright, and I wrote all the code. So so that's the story, but it took place in Newark.
So you actually have the copyright, so there's really no question.
There's no controversy about this.
Online, there are some people.
Well, this is a great issue. Why is there a controversy? I wrote all the code, did the work, called it email, and have the copyright. You see, I never wanted to make money off of it, didn't seek fame or fortune. It was only 35 years later, after my 4 degrees at MIT, after starting 7 companies, my dear mom was dying of a horrible disease, pulmonary fibrosis, 3 months to live, and in a suitcase, she had carefully, in a Samsonite suitcase, organized all of the materials, the computer code, the paper tapes, all the code.
What language was it in?
Fortran, which is not good for texting, okay, for text processing. Anyway, she, and the only editor, the only journalist who ever actually went through this was Doug Amiff from Time Magazine, and he wrote an article in November 2011 called "A Man Who Invented Email." 3 months later, the Smithsonian contacted me and wanted all my materials because this was a treasure trove.
Sure.
It went into the Smithsonian on February 16, 2012, and that's when the proverbial S hit the fan, which I can't say here.
Right.
Because a Washington Post reporter wrote a great article saying Shiva Ayyadurai honored as the inventor of email, and that's when the liberal, what's interesting, it's the liberal academics, historians, this was like a new skull was found in Africa, and they had to destroy it because it reset the origin of where innovation came from.
Right.
You see, when I was at MIT, I was on the front page of MIT for inventing many other things, for the Fulbright, for EchoMail, on technology review. But when I said email was not invented at MIT, that it was invented in Newark, New Jersey, by a collaboration of a loving family, a high school teacher who supported me, and a mentor. That's the triangle where email came from. It did not come from the military-industrial academic complex. And what's fascinating to watch is the vitriol. People call me all sorts of four-letter names. In fact, one blog said this curry-stained Indian should be beaten and hanged.
Oh.
And no one stood up for me. For 4 years, I'm being attacked.
Who said that? A peace-loving liberal? Or?
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is, you see, I was a great symbol, a dark-skinned Indian guy, front page of MIT. Yeah, we're into inclusivity, diversity. But when I said, whoa, email was not invented at MIT, which was a narrative that they had done in those 30 years. One of the defense contractors had rewritten the narrative, Raytheon, that had come out of, look, Raytheon does other great things, but you didn't invent email. You may have done simple electronic messaging. I'm not claiming I did that, but I invented, a 14-year-old American kid invented email, and it came from Newark. And the heart of this goes back to a very deep issue, why they fabricated a controversy. And the reason they fabricated is, by the way, a 14-year-old boy in Franklin, Idaho invented TV. Okay, Philo Farnsworth. Everyone should look this up. You see, the biggest bamboozling that has taken place in American history, and Eisenhower talked about it in 1961, when he was leaving office. He said, we must, as Americans, beware of the military-industrial complex. And he was a Republican general, great respect for him. 7 years later, Senator Fulbright, a Democrat, called it the military-industrial academic complex. So if you think about this, you have big defense contractors, big corporations, and then you have big academia. That triangle, both of these people warned, would try to subjugate the American people to try to get us involved in wars that we did not want to be involved in. But more importantly, they would tell us where innovation came from. And we can talk more about it. But this is a very important thing. Who innovates? Who doesn't? Where does creativity come from? And my point is it comes from everywhere. And you have a bunch of elitists who try to say it can only come from MIT and Harvard or Silicon Valley. And that is anti-American. So the invention of email is an American story. And it must be talked about. It must be defended because it's the truth.
Shiva, it's a great story. We are going to take a break right now. We'll be right back. I want to hear more. Right here on the new Open Mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Masek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system. This is 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Community Spotlight.
Haverhill's Career Resources Corporation is offering local veterans vocational training services and job placement assistance through the Boots to Briefcases program. Career counselors are available weekdays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. through June for veterans seeking employment. Services provided by CRC include resume and cover letter writing, mock interviewing, and job retention skills seminars. Interested veterans can contact Veteran Career Representative Patricia Getz at 978-374-9122, extension 210. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Robin Fancher.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Back on the new open mic, I'm Bill Masick. Bill Ellis is here as my co-host, and Shiva, as he says we can call him, Dr. Shiva. And say your last name again.
It's Ayyadurai, like I adore you.
Ayyadurai, okay.
Some people think it's Italian. Okay. We'll take it.
Wasn't there a song like that? My eyes adore you?
My eyes adore you.
Exactly. You can say my eyes adore you.
Okay. Well, we took a break, but you were just beginning to tell some of the obstacles you've had to encounter and get over. And I think that your message, because you're also an independent candidate for the U.S. Senate seat from Massachusetts, and you've been a resident of Massachusetts for 35 years, is it?
Jesus, 37. I came here in 1981 to go to MIT and never left.
Okay, so
I love the state. Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and just continue on your journey and letting myself and Bill and everybody else listening and watching about why they should consider your candidacy for the U.S. Senate.
Well, look, my journey is the American journey. You know, if you look at the founders of this country, these people were, first of all, radicals. They were very smart. They were engineers. They were blacksmiths. They were carpenters. They were people with skills. And they built this country fighting the establishment. At that time, the establishment was a British monarchy. But even within America, there was an establishment, right? So that's where these guys came from. It's incredible when you think about it. These guys were children of the Renaissance. They were incredible people who believed in science and technology, but they were politically very, very tuned, but they were anti-establishment. And my journey, in fact, parallels that. Growing up in India, I had to fight the establishment of the caste system, which said that, you know, your success is where you were born into, not what you did. That's why my parents left India, because America was based on meritocracy, the rule of law, and hard work. And that's what this country should be about. But what we have in this country right now, and everyone needs to understand that, we have a neo-caste system here. You have a set of people, whatever you want to call them, Republicans and Democrats, that all work together and they collude against people because they have centralized power. They believe that they know better. You know, Elizabeth Warren thinks she knows better. I believe you know better, because every day, think about everyone who gets up every day. We all make a bunch of decisions. We make a myriad of decisions. We solve a ton of problems on our own without the government telling us what to do. What these guys have done, and by the way, you know, Cambridge, that 2-mile radius, in my view, is a sewer that feeds the swamp in Washington. It's literally the complete, you know, remember in Star Wars, there's a Death Star and there's that one point you need to hit?
Right.
Well, that point, I would say, is the 2-mile radius around Harvard, okay? Because that entire institution and the people around it, and it's symbolic, literally represent the establishment. They're the ones that create the children of the establishment. They sponsor them. They fuel them. And look, they never wanted a guy like me ever getting degrees from MIT, okay? Because I'm a formidable opponent because I grew up with nothing. I grew up in New Jersey with people who had nothing. I know what struggle is. And so I'm going to be one of the biggest fighters of the American people, and that's what we need right now in this country. Because what the establishment has created is centralization of power, and they've created the biggest inequality in this country, in the history of this country. And they want to divide people, right? They use racism. And by the way, the biggest racists are the liberals.
Most definitely.
Right? The establishment has two arms. One is, I would consider sort of the Republican establishment in some ways. And by the way, I'm excluding Trump from this. Trump, you know, is really not a Republican or a Democrat. He hijacked the Republican Party very, very cleverly. But the Republicans are somewhat stupid. The Democrats are actually quite smart. They actually advise the establishment in much more insidious techniques on how to keep the masses in suffering, how to keep people segregated. That's what they do really, really well. So, you know, getting back to the email story, I was a good Indian when I was at MIT getting all my degrees on the front page. But when I said email came from Newark, you see that I wasn't being a good Indian anymore. Not only was I not being a good Indian, then I fought for it, right? I sued Gawker Media, who called me all those names. It took 4 years. We won a federal lawsuit. You know, close to $1 million. We put them out of business because, look, I believe in free speech, but the First Amendment does not protect you against defamation and libel. I believe in truthful free speech. So that's what my life's been about. Look, but, you know, this campaign is exciting for me because it's bringing together my love of science, engineering, wanting to serve, but always being a political activist. You know, for years, I exposed the fake science of the big universities and Monsanto. You know, if people are listening, look up Monsanto. Monsanto is one of the most evil corporations. They've polluted the entire food supply of this country. Elizabeth Warren voted to protect Monsanto, that we can never sue them. It's called the Monsanto Protection Act. She voted against the GMO labeling bill. So you're talking about someone who's very, very clever in positioning herself as though she cares for minorities, poor people, etc. This is far more insidious than anything you can get. You know, I was one of the people who was at the free speech rally recently. As some of you may know, right, about 4 months before the Charlottesville event took place, a bunch of students in Boston, who I always love supporting students who want to be politically active. I don't care where they're coming from. It's important young people get active. They wanted to hold a free speech rally. Yeah. And I was invited among Green Party people, people from all different spectrums, to speak. To the night, a few weeks after Charlottesville took place, Mayor Marty Walsh and Charlie Baker, one Democrat, one a Rhino Republican, never Trumper, got together because, you know, they want to, again, take advantage of poor black people, right? Yeah. And minorities. Okay. They characterized that entire rally as a Nazi white supremacist event and how they were going to fight against it. You got to remember, you know, 2 miles in Boston has the average net worth of a black person is $8. Okay, and I don't know what a poor white person is. I'm sure it's not that far different. These guys have created the biggest segregation in this state as you can ever imagine among poor whites and poor blacks.
That's because that's their voting.
That's their voting. And so you have one arm which tells white people not to like black people and another people which pits black people against white people, and they never understand what racism is. Not calling someone, frankly, a bad word. Racism is those people who exploit race to advance their economic interests. And that's what Elizabeth Warren did when she said, I'm an Indian, checked off she was a Native American, which she used then to get into Harvard and make $450K, yet she has never, ever said anything about Harvard University, which is a $40 billion hedge fund, which makes, you know, billions of dollars every year, pays its hedge fund managers $58 million. Basically, she lives in Wall Street, gets funded by Wall Street, right? So at the free speech rally, I still decided to go because I made a commitment. And by the time Walsh and Baker were done with this, they had said that we were Nazis, we were white supremacists. We could have gotten lynched that day. But we stood by principle. We went in, 40 of us against 40,000 people. It was like Braveheart.
Wow.
So we did the, you know, and the thing is, they created a huge distance, almost a football field, between us speaking and the press. I mean, this is like ridiculous, right? That's fascism.
You have footage of this, right?
We have footage. Everyone can go see it. It's online. And in the talk, I'm exposing Hillary Clinton as a racist who made fun of Mahatma Gandhi. I'm exposing Harry Reid as a racist. I'm exposing Joe Biden, who said the only reason that he was going to support Obama because he was the first clean, articulate black man he'd ever come across.
I remember that.
Yeah. We exposed, who is it, Clinton's mentor, you know, who was part of the KKK, right? Robert Byrd, right? Yep. So, you know, the liberal media doesn't like to hear this because it's the biggest contradiction, right? Democrats and Republicans try to split people up. We also talked about no to Monsanto. I mean, this was not a white supremacist rally. And still to this day, I will have people running up to me, again, white liberals, saying that I'm a racist, I'm a Nazi. It's incredible. This is what you call fascism. When people... brains have become so irrational that they utter things like that.
Yep. We're going to have to take another break. Yeah. Right now, we are on the open mic. We are having probably our most interesting program to date since I've been here. Shiva is telling a lot of very interesting stories. It's fascinating to me, I'm sure to most of the people listening. And we're going to continue until 8 o'clock right here on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Masek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 7:32.
Your membership enables WHAV to remain local and independent. Consider joining at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave!
Would it surprise you to know radio still reaches more than 90% of people in every age group, every week? It's a fact. And 97.9 WHAV FM's target audience averages 92%. While other media are cutting back, area residents turn to WHAV for local news, information, and entertainment they cannot find elsewhere. Add what has been called the halo effect of public radio, and listeners find business messages more credible and trustworthy than other forms of advertising. For a no-obligation assessment about how WHAV can help your business reach more people than all other local media combined, call 978-374-1900 or visit WHAV.net.
Wave weather.
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, clear, low 37, light south winds. Tuesday, increasing late day cloudiness with a chance of scattered showers developing at night. High 69, low 49, south winds at around 10 miles per hour. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy skies with rain and isolated thunderstorms. High 55, low 49, east winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back on the new Open Mic. I'm Bill Masek. Bill Ellis is here as my co-host, and we have Shiva here with us, who is a candidate for U.S. Senate, going to be running against Elizabeth Warren as an independent. And the reason you're an independent is because, you can take up there.
Yeah, the reason I'm running as an independent is, look, first of all, just to give you a quick background to everyone listening, I never voted before because I didn't dislike both parties, even though I've been a citizen since 1982, 1983. I figured out the Republicans and Democrats were two heads of the same beast as a young kid. When I saw Jesse Jackson, if you remember when he ran for president, remember there was Reagan, there was, who was it, Walter Mondale, and Jesse Jackson was saying he was doing this big rainbow coalition.
Right.
And at the last minute, if people remember, he gives all of his votes to Walter Mondale, right? Doing the lesser of two evils nonsense, which for far too long we've been all bamboozled with, as though no one else can run except two-party people. So that's when I realized that in political history, there's always been three dynamics. I mean, not only in the U.S., across the world. And this is a very interesting thing because you can learn a lot from once you apply this dynamic and you can see through the BS. One dynamic is the establishment. Those people want to keep things the way they are. That's the establishment. The other hand, you have what I call the change agents, right? People who actually want to change things. And these people are the forgotten people. People, who people's names we don't even know in the civil rights movement. The women's rights movement. Susan B. Anthony was laughed out of the Democratic Congress. They didn't think women should have rights, right? She took to the streets. So those are the change agents. And then there's a third, more insidious element, which what I call the not so obvious establishment. Okay? And typically the way the establishment is, they use one wing, and then they have the other wing, which is typically the left wing of the Democratic Party, which they use to sucker in people off the streets, off building movements back into the establishment. And they use words like hope, right? You've heard these words, change, revolution, right? So in the 2016 election, what I saw happening was you had Hillary Clinton run, right? And it was fascinating to watch this election because the establishment, like a bunch of sharks, even though they were different species, all got together. The Romneys, the Bushes, the Clintons, and the Obamas all got together around Hillary Clinton, who was the establishment candidate. Who was a change agent? Well, it was Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, he was a change agent because he was addressing a fundamental issue that the issues of poor whites were not being addressed. I mean, the infant mortality rates. I mean, people were addressing transgender issues, right? All these, but the vast majority of poor whites and poor working people was not being addressed.
Correct.
And who was the third person that came within that who was a not so obvious establishment? Who was it? Bernie Sanders.
Bernie
okay?
Sanders, yeah.
Bernie Sanders is essentially the essentially the not so obvious establishment, right? Revolution, hope, blah blah blah. And I had a lot of my friends saying, Shiva, you should support Bernie. He's the anti-establishment candidate. I go, no, Bernie's a not so obvious establishment. He's going to sell you guys out. Well, he's worse than that. He's part of the establishment. He's part of the deep state. He's going to sell you out at the last minute, and he's going to give his votes to Hillary. They said, no, he won't do that. And that's exactly what he did. So when Trump was running, I said, you know what? This guy is doing something quite interesting. He's anti-establishment. I registered as an independent. I voted for him. And then I was invited to the inauguration. I went there, and then I said, I'm going to run against Warren. Obviously, I could not run as a Democrat. So I decided to run as a Republican. And, I thought the Republican Party was a party of Lincoln. And I decided I'd give them a fair shot. We went around all over Massachusetts trying to, we have to get a certain number of delegates. We were the first ones to announce in February. We were getting standing ovations. And the Massachusetts GOP never invited me to even see them until 4 months later after my attorney's friend said, why aren't you meeting with Shiva? And what was interesting was at that meeting, they harassed me why I voted for Trump. They said, did you vote for Trump? They go, why'd you vote for him? So here's a Mass GOP questioning me why I voted for Trump. So, and as a Republican candidate, and as I looked at this process, it's clear that they had already self-selected their group of people, right? One guy, as you know, is a fake Trumper. He lies that he, was close with Trump. He photoshopped a picture with Trump, right? He says he's a Massachusetts co-chair, absolute lie. And his his campaign manager was a Saudi lobbyist. Another guy, I'm talking about Dirty Deal, as we call him. Another guy, Old Man Kingston. Okay, here's a guy who gave $250,000 to Bill Clinton for speaking fee engagement. All right, he supported an anti-Trump PAC. That's their other guy. And you have another woman who's been entrenched in the Republican Party, a Romneyite, lottery, Beth Lindstrom. Okay, ran the lottery. So these are the opposition, and I'm the one who's made this race interesting, and I decided to run in November. I switched. I said, you know what? I'm not going to wake up in April and be screwed over by these guys. I think I'm reasonably smart. I could see the writing on the wall, so I decided to go as an independent. And we're the ones who's made this race interesting, because before this, my entering it, it was Warren's going to win, and the Republicans are running on this, essentially are running it to make money for themselves.
Right, okay.
Doctor, we have a call?
We've got a call, and we'll go right to that call right now. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Dr. Busher here.
How are you, Jerry?
How are you, Bill?
Good.
Yes, what's that gentleman's name now?
Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. You can just call me Shiva. Dr.
Shiva.
Busher,
How
yeah.
do you spell that?
S-H-I-V-A, Shiva.
S-H-I...
Kind of like Shiva.
V-A.
Yeah, Shiva.
V-A, Shiva.
V-
yeah,
V-A.
all right. Well, you certainly got my vote. I think we need a change in there, and I think you have the good ideas on everything you talk about. What is your views on veterans issues? You have the...
And before you answer that, Jerry is a Vietnam veteran, lost his sight over in Vietnam.
Yeah, first of all, Jerry, thanks very much for your service. Look, the issue of veterans and a number of other issues are problems that the deep state has created and has no idea how to solve them. In fact, is, in my opinion, not even committed to really solving them. And veterans have essentially been used by politicians. As I look at it, all of these politicians try to go get veterans to endorse them, to support them. One of the guys who's running on the Republican, he has a Saudi lobbyist who actually misled veterans to tell them that they should vote against JASTA, and we'll get back to that. But to me, the issue of veterans goes back to what Eisenhower talked about and what Fulbright talked about, that the military-industrial complex, the deep state, has used poor whites, poor blacks to go fight their wars for accumulating wealth, and essentially it's used them and exploited them, and their issues has not been addressed. And in my view, we need to accelerate the way veterans are taken care of. Look, there's a lot of these organizations that already exist within the government. One of the things Trump did was, I think he started to make those features accessible. When it comes to things like PTSD, I know this reasonably well, because there are, I think, over 100 programs for PTSD, and none of them really work that well. So what's been happening with the veterans issue is politicians are doing opportunistic things, but they never really get to the heart of the issues, which is actually taking care of our vets, making sure they get the health care that they need, the connections that they need to solve things very, very quickly, and that's what I will do. But that's about really going systemically and solving the problems, not essentially to use veterans as a voting bloc. And that's what they do with illegal aliens, right? They use people for voting blocks as they need.
Well,
You're absolutely right.
It's true, and they're looking to bring on felons now in New York. There's another voting block.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand. I mean, if you go to the heart of it, Jerry, I'm not sure what you're. I mean, you've obviously been trained as a soldier. I'm sure you have skills. Remember, these politicians have no skills. What job can Charlie Baker Franklin do? You know, he probably got into Harvard because of his father, right? Because Harvard is 30% legacy admissions. What job can you ask Elizabeth Warren to fix anything? I mean, I think I can program software. I can fix things. MIT is essentially a high-tech, vo-tech school.
But didn't she say you didn't build that?
Right, because she doesn't know what it takes to build anything. These are theoretical statements for these people.
Do some more campaigning. Do you have any contact numbers that you're going to broadcast?
Yeah, so ShivaForSenate.com, SHIVA, forsenate.com. Look, our campaign is the opposition, the establishment does not want to give us visibility. We get in front, you know, it's game, set, match. So anything you can do, Jerry, to get us out there, it's SHIVA, #forsenate.com. I mean, obviously you can give us money, but look, I'm a frugal entrepreneur. My opponents are spending 90 cents to raise $1. You know, our $1 is equivalent to 10 times what they raise because I run it like an entrepreneurial, frugal business, meaning we really stretch it. So, but what we want is volunteers on the ground. To me, that's worth, you know, millions of dollars, you know, hardcore volunteers. So
you said that's Shiva at?
Shiva 4, SHIVA numeral 4, Senate.com. Shiva4senate.com.
Jerry,
Jerry, I have it. And for
Jerry,
some
stay
reason,
on the line and give Chris your mailing address.
All right.
And we'll have some information sent to you.
Yeah, or give me a call, Jerry, and I'll definitely give you the information as a follow-up
Bill,
to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks again for your
Okay.
service. I appreciate your calling in, Jerry.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
And we're ending that call right on time for one more break right here on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Masek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave.
Hi, Tom Bergeron here. I started at WHAV in 1972. And look, WHAV's still here, but it won't be if you don't help support it. Go to WHAV.net. Become a contributor. Keep us going.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back on the new open mic, and we're going to take it right until 8 o'clock with Shiva, who is very fascinating in what he's done in life and what he's looking to do next. And you mentioned that you want to take it to where you've had to get involved with. Is it the lawsuit you want to get involved with, or where do you want to go?
Yeah, so I think let me just take a couple of minutes so the audience knows what we stand for. You know, at a very simple level, you know, our campaign is about us, we as Americans, taking back our country, taking it away from the establishment elites of Democrats and Republicans and bringing it back to everyday people. I'm talking about a decentralized government. So as a part of that, our campaigns, you know, big slogan is declare your independence, and I'll tell you what the other one is also. But we have three pillars. We're calling for clean government. We got to get all of these career politicians out of it. They're in it to make money. They're in it to build their quote-unquote brands, and they never want to get out of it because they have no other career. So part of our platform under clean government is term limits. 80% of Americans want it. We want significant campaign finance reform, and we got to end lobbyists. You see, in other countries, it's open corruption. In America, lobbyists is essentially legalized corruption. The second part of our platform is real health. You know, people waste a lot of time talking about single payer, non-single payer, Romney care, Obamacare, but people do not talk about is the two pillars of healthcare are prevention and lowering the cost of healthcare. Well, how do you prevent prevention? Well, it's from real food. You see, most people who get healthy know food is medicine. You know, Hippocrates talked about it. Food is a $4.7 trillion industry, 10 times the technology business. And what we have done in this country is we've industrialized food. Companies like Monsanto, few companies own food. Companies like Amazon and Whole Foods have industrialized organic food. We need to bring food back to the people, locally grown food, organic food. 80% of Americans want organic, clean food. This is not just a liberal or left issue. The other piece of it is to lower the cost of healthcare, we need innovation. You know, we have a company called CytoSolve, which is one of my other inventions, where we modeled the human cell on the computer. We discovered a drug for pancreatic cancer in a record 11 months and got it allowed by the FDA. So we need to support innovation. The other part of it is we don't have enough family practitioners. All the doctors join big hospitals. You know, my sister went to Harvard Medical School, and she'll tell you, too many regulations. The other big thing is we need to eliminate the 4-year need to go to undergraduate to become a doctor. Other countries don't need it. So doctors lower their loans, eliminate a lot of these regulations, and we need to support crisis care insurance, so you pay a little bit, and then people should be incented to take care of their own health. The third part of our platform is real jobs. I don't know if people know this. This is what the swamp creatures or the establishment has done to our state right here. For every 17 skilled job openings in Massachusetts, high-tech job openings, only one person is skilled. We don't produce enough plumbers, enough electricians, enough software programmers. The educational industrial complex has put our children in debt, made them indentured servants. We have a $1.8 trillion student loan bubble. You know, the student loan companies are making billions of dollars in profits, and the money never goes to the student. It goes right to the universities, which keep raising their tuition. That's how Elizabeth Warren gets funded. Now, so that's our core platform, which is really about decentralization. Now, let me talk to you about the other slogan. Not only do we have Declare Your Independence, our other slogan is only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. And this is a very powerful slogan. It's not only a joke, and everyone loves it. And I want to give you the background on this. You know, Elizabeth Warren lied to get into Harvard. You know, she is not a Native American. I've sent her 3 DNA test kits. I'm the one who pioneered sending her DNA test kits. In fact, the liberal Berkshire Eagle agreed with me that she should take the DNA test, and the Berkshire Eagle endorsed her in 2012. So I'm the one who led that. I take full credit for her now deciding not to run for president. Now she's saying she's going to, you know, fulfill her term because we hammered on this issue. And it's not Scott Brown just playing some tom-toms. We're talking about not identity. This is about integrity. So I own a beautiful building in Cambridge. It's right on a main drag, Concord Avenue. 50,000 people pass it every day. We have no signage on the building. However, in March of 2017, a number of students, citizens in Massachusetts, took an old school bus, refurbished it, and it's a beautiful bus, and we park it in 4 of the parking spots among the 80-odd parking spots I have in the parking lot. And the bus signage in March of 2017 said, Shiva for Senate, be the light. That was one of our early messages, which still is a great message. 2 months later, we changed the message to Shiva for Senate, fight for America. Again, a great message. But in March of 2018, this year, about a month ago, before the St. Patrick's Day Parade, where we went, by the way, millions saw us, loved our bus, we changed the slogan to only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. Everyone loves it. By the way, people probably 50 to 100 people stop by and they take pictures of that bus. On April 4th, 2 weeks after this, we get a letter from the city of Cambridge threatening us that if we did not take down that slogan off our bus, we would be fined $300 a day by the building department. And the ordinance has nothing to do with buses. Now, the insidious and sleazy building department, the way they work is they issue these kind of fines, and they essentially force people to do what they want. Right. Now, you got to understand, this is an issue of free speech. Correct. Because they didn't have a problem with the 2 other signs for a year, but only when we put only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian do they get concerned, because it is a powerful slogan. I mean, I'm not talking about only is it a funny slogan, but it hits at the heart of what these politicians are all about. Left and right, Republican and Democrat, they're all fakes, they lie, they cheat, they have no skills. And that's what it exposes. Elizabeth Warren cut in front of line to get her job at Harvard. She used racism. She is the racist. And what's fascinating is once in a while people come yelling at me, you're the racist, calling me a Nazi. Right. Amazing.
Okay.
So what we did was we have decided, and 24 hours ago, we filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Cambridge. By the way, Cambridge is supposed to be all about inclusivity, diversity, and we're taking them to court, and we're not going to cave in on this. And they need to, suss up to the fact that they are really about stopping free speech. So we're taking them on 2 counts. First Amendment, U.S. Constitution, and also the Massachusetts Constitution. But we're not going to pay them 1 penny. And in fact, a lot more people want these signs on their buses.
Sure.
So
Listen,
it's
we're going
interesting.
to take a short call before we go on.
You're a Nazi. You look like the member of the Aryan race.
That's right.
Doesn't he
Yeah,
have all
it's
those
incredible.
characteristics?
It's incredible the one-dimensional nature of the mainstream media and the liberal elite who try to think that people are stupid, that they can name brand me as a Nazi and a supremacist, and people are going to forget about the actual issues.
But the thing about liberals, though, is when they can't win an argument, that's when they throw the racist card.
Right.
They throw, you're a Nazi.
Well, they got a problem with me. I'm a low-caste, untouchable Indian, a deplorable, and they're the racists, and they're going to find out who the real racists are.
All right, we're going to go to our call. Hello, caller.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry that we had to keep you on hold, but we have a very fascinating program going on.
Hi, Dr. Ayyadurai.
How are you?
A couple weeks back on a Sunday, you were at Market Basket in Tewksbury. I did not get a chance to say hello. I was chatting with one of your campaign workers. I'm a school teacher, and the next morning I went to school and I talked you up to all the folks I work with. A lot of them are not familiar with you, but they are now, and I think you're going to have a lot of support amongst the teachers in my town. So I was wondering, are you planning to come through Lowell again in the future?
Yeah, we have a big announcement to make in Lowell, but yeah, definitely. Look, this is 24/7 or 24/7 for me. So please invite us. We'll love to come there. It's an interesting thing you bring up. Tewksbury, these are everyday working people. In contrast to Lexington, let me tell you what happened there. You may find this interesting. I was supposed to speak there in Lexington, and there was a free speech rally that was held in Concord. Someone called the principal of Lexington. This thing was scheduled. I'm getting ready to leave in the morning. I got a call from the history teacher saying, you can't come. They suddenly had to switch the rooms. As we dug deeper into it, it's because I'm a Nazi and a white supremacist. Now, you got to understand, Lexington High School is where all the bourgeois elite live who work in Harvard and MIT. So I find it quite disgusting what they did to this history professor. And I'd love to come to Lowell. And Lowell, by the way, was the center of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
So I'd love to come there. Please have me come. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate your support.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's true. Liberals like diversity as long as you agree with them.
Liberals are the fascists. They're the racists. And I'm going to expose them because because they are the true insidious elements, like the fake Trumpers, against the people.
Thank you for your call.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to have about 5 minutes left, Doctor, and you were discussing your campaign. Now you have to sue Cambridge because they don't like your slogan.
Only Indian can defeat the fake Indian.
That's on a bus, not painted on your building or hanging on your building.
Right.
But it's on a bus, and that's not okay. So isn't it interesting how, as Bill Ellis just said, that as long as you agree with them, everything's fine.
Right. So you see, I break the mold. Look, I'm an American fundamentally, right? But the liberals are the ones, they're professors or academia. I know these guys really well. I've been among them. I'm an insider like Trump was an insider in Wall Street, right? But academics are the real insidious sewer rats, right? They create narratives, right? Okay, if you want to be a smart inventor, you got to look like a nerd. You got to have a beard. You got to have glasses. You can't be a good-looking athlete, right? And I'm being serious.
Right.
You got to look like a mad scientist, and then you're, a smart electrician, can't understand politics, right? So they have created narratives, right? One of those narratives is, if you're an Indian, you sit in the lotus position and you move your head up and down, and you're into, Mahatma Gandhi, right? But that's not what I am. I'm not willing to be a good Indian because those are the little plantations that they draw around all of us, and they do this to everyone, right?
Do you like curry?
I love curry, but I love Italian food too. I'm a great cook too. I'll cook for some. If anyone wants to do a fundraiser, I'll cook for people. I love cooking. I have many interests, and like all of us do. But this campaign, to everyone listening, is really about the American journey, and it's our campaign. The Republicans and Democrats and the career need to vote all of them out. They don't deserve you. They don't deserve me. They don't deserve us. The American people deserve a good, revolution. And I think the Shiva for Senate campaign is at the tip of that revolution in Massachusetts. This was a cradle of the American Revolution, and everyday working people is who I'm fighting for. That's who my parents were. That's who you are. And look at the backgrounds of any of these politicians. Look at their resumes. Have they ever actually invented something, created anything? Do they know how to fix anything? And you'll find out they don't. And what we need is people who actually know how to solve problems. But our campaign is shivaforsenate.com. We want to build a groundswell on the ground. This is your movement. People who come to our campaign are absolutely excited, passionate. They're not political hacks. All of those who come, we walk them out the door. We've had a lot of political consultants tell us what they're going to do for us. They get shown the door pretty quickly. So this is your movement. It's our movement. We got to take back this country. What better place to do that than in Massachusetts? And my view is our winning in Massachusetts will send a wave to get everyday people participating in governance. So I'm sort of insignificant to this whole thing. I just happen to be very fortunate.
You just happen to be the candidate.
I just happen to be very fortunate to come to this amazing country, which should be based on meritocracy, rule of law, and hard work. And we got to take that back, because that's what this country needs. We need real jobs. We need our kids not being burdened with student loans. We need our kids getting real skills and real discipline and real good habits. And those are what's going to – that's why, my parents came here.
You have some very good, well thought out reasoning you've presented for your candidacy. What specifically do you think you can do to help Massachusetts?
Well, the number one thing we need to do to help Massachusetts, we need to, the politicians basically exploit and live off the people east of 495. There's a lot of smart people in Springfield, in Worcester. We need to make sure the ability to innovate, capital, small banks. Elizabeth Warren destroyed 1,200 small community banks. We get that kind of infusion of capital elsewhere. Number two, we need to have more vote-tech schools. The way you solve racism is you address skills training. So I'm going to fight really to make sure people get skills. That's how, I was skilled as a age of 14. I can still do that. Skills are what alleviate poverty. You can make a lot of money with good skills. We need that. The third thing we need to do is, when it really comes down to when you look at this country, the fundamental thing is we need to make sure that we raise our consciousness. We get what we deserve, in the sense we actually have working background skills, and we get rid of career politicians. So what I want to do with my candidacy, it's winning for you. That's what this candidacy is really about.
Sounds great. Listen, we have to stop, unfortunately.
Thank you.
We're reaching the end of our time. This is the new open mic program. My guest has been Dr. V.A.
No, you can just say Shiva Ayyadurai, Shiva for Senate, and I want to thank both bills. Thank you.
Thank
you very much for having me on your great show.
SHIVA, the number 4, Senate, SENATE.com. If people want to know more about you, or if they want to get involved in your campaign, I'm sure you'd love to hear from them.
Definitely. ShivaForSenate.com. Email us, Shiva@ShivaForSenate.com.
Thank you for your time, Shiva. And
thank you very much,
Bill. We'll have you back again.
Thank you, Bill.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's it for this hour, and that's it for this evening's program on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Join Bill Masek Open Mic again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8:01.